Welcome to the first 2019 edition of the Breeders' Cup News Minute powered by DRF Formulator. Coming up, we'll have a fact Formulator dug up, which is kind of startling. But first, Ray, today the pre-entries were announced, 187 horses. That's down a little bit from last year, but you wouldn't know it looking at the individual fields. Lots of full fields on tap, 46 horses shipping from overseas. What stood out to you from the pre-entries?
Well, these are going to be fun races, first of all. But the thing that I really like is that even in a race where you've got a heavy favorite, Midnight Bassoux in the distaff, trainers and owners are not afraid to run. They've only got one shot. Well, they've got one shot a year to go in the Breeders' Cup, and even if there's a heavy favorite in the race, they're willing to take that shot. And the distaff is a race that has had some fairly short fields over the years, not every year. But the fact that 12 entered, we're going to lose probably late. We'll go into the Classic against Colts. But a field of 11 with Midnight Bassoux, that's going to be a good race.
Heck of a race. One spot where they might be shying away from a heavy favorite is Omaha Beach in the Dirt Mile, because several of the contenders there have first preference in the sprint, which means the Dirt Mile could, by Breeders' Cup standards, come up a little short, maybe 7-horse field against a very dominating favorite in Omaha Beach. But then the sprint is going to be amazing because it'll have 11 horses, including Matoli, Chancelot, and Imperial Hint, just for starters, not to mention veterans like Whitmore and Firenze Fire. So the sprint, man, 11 deep there with those sprinters, that's going to be one fast race.
Yeah, it is. And let's not forget Catalina Cruiser in there, I think, who was cross-entered in the Dirt Mile, one of several horses that are taking a look at the Dirt Mile. I'm a little surprised there's that much fear over Omaha Beach. He just had the one comeback race. It was a monster race for sure, going 6 furlongs. But the horsemen have a lot of respect for what this horse apparently is going to be able to do in the Dirt Mile.
We're going to get into the individual races over the next few days, but from an overview here, last year Enable was a standout star heading into the Breeders' Cup. We don't necessarily have that level of superstar, but we do have several who are very good, unbeaten this year. We have Sister Charlie, Bricks and Mortar, Midnight Bassoux you mentioned, Omaha Beach. I could go on a few more. So there is quite a bit of star power in this Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, and the Breeders' Cup, I think, is a day that creates stars. I look at the Classic and a horse like Code of Honor, who has had a terrific second half of 2019. If he wins the Classic, he'll be the 3-year-old champion, and he could have an argument for Horse of the Year depending on the outcome of the turf and the distaff.
Well, the DRF Formulator, if you haven't used this, it's an invaluable tool for your handicapping. The Formulator has dug up this stat for us. It's kind of amazing. 0 for 34. That's Aiden O'Brien in the past year in North America. Aidan O'Brien. Now, he was 0 for 14 in the Breeders' Cup last year. He only has a couple wins in the last 3 years. Do you think he's going to break that streak this year, Ray?
He's 2 for 39 the last 3 years in the Breeders' Cup, which is not a good record, but he's won 12 Breeders' Cups overall, Breeders' Cup races, and he is one of the world's great trainers. I'm not too worried about Aidan O'Brien bouncing back. Let's not forget that Bobby Frankel went 0 for 38 before he won his first Breeders' Cup race. So everybody can have a slump. Aidan O'Brien's had Breeders' Cup slumps and in North America and other races in the last year. But he'll bounce back. I'm not too worried about it.
He has 17 pre-entries this year, including Magical, who I didn't mention in the stars list there, but who is a star. I mean, she finished second to Enable last year, and she's going to take on Bricks and Mortar in the turf probably. So that's a good shot for Aidan O'Brien. He's got several others that look like contenders. That's going to do it for today's edition of the News Minute, powered by DRF Formulator. Check it out at drf.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.